Hi everyone, welcome to another patch notes rundown. Um, yeah, let's get into it. This is a very large patch, so we won't be going into too much detail, but giving you mostly the result of the changes. So yeah, Acel, he got a lot of changes, but he was broken for a bit and then he got hotfix. So um, I mean, he's good. That's the TLDR. But the thing is, because he's such a late game champion, if you play him solo, a lot of games will end before you can get there. So he's like a 60% win rate champion. He's a very stable champion to climb with. But yeah, if you want to Smurf, you don't play something like this. Um, I mean, you can get the stacks more reliable from his ability. That's the big change. So Azir. So this change does nothing. This champion is broken, and this change doesn't do anything because he's dominating lane, right? So what's self regen gonna mean? Brand, yeah, this nerf was deserved. This mostly impacts his first clear, um, because he loses 10 damage on the Q and 10% his passive bonus monster damage gets reduced by 10%. So he's still good, but he's not like first pick blind whatever. He's a bit tiny bit more situational, but he's still good. You can still blind him. Corki. So these are very big nerfs because the Malignance Eclipse interaction doesn't work anymore, and the W buff doesn't do anything. Package duration, sort of whatever. Um, he's still okay, but he's like if you enjoy like farming for the first half of the game and not interacting much, then he can be alright if that's your kind of game. I do think there are better champions to play if you want to carry or learn how to carry. Ezreal. So Ezreal was Giga broken, and they're nerfing him a tiny bit, but he's still buffed from where he was. So the previous buff he got, his W got buffed, and his W does magic damage, but the AD ratio got buffed. So the thing is, you still struggle killing tanks. Because Ezreal cannot build pen anymore. Because I mean he can, but Cyril skills the armor pen skills of lethality, so you're only getting 200% armor pen. So against tanks, once they get both their MR and armor item, it can be rough killing them, especially if you don't have Conqueror. But his burst is pretty nuts, and early that won't be an issue. So Ezreal is really good for solo queue, just because of how safe he is, and this itemization is fine now. Illaoi, okay, these changes are pretty good. Like she's an actual champion now. Um, she still has a lot of rough matchups. I think Vayne, Twisted Fate, the range bullshit. Mordekaiser is always an issue. Gwen is very difficult. But yeah, I mean, as a counter pick, she's pretty good, and her itemization is pretty okay again. Um, so the damage, I mean, the damage doesn't do a whole lot. It's actually getting nerfed, but Tentacle has a range back. So now I don't think there are any spots left in top lane where you can just stand and the tentacles will never reach you. So that was her biggest issue, I'd say. Karma, yeah. So Karma is getting her R Q nerfed, but I mean this 20% AP ratio doesn't do a whole lot, especially not if you're low economy. So if you're more support kind of build or playing support, then this doesn't do a whole lot. She's still insanely good, but a lot of people don't know how to play her. But you can play her in any role and be fine. Lilia. So Lilia was very broken, and now she's still good, but not obscene. So the nerf is small, but she just had too many numbers. 20% AP on the ratio down on the Q is okay, but her strength comes mostly from the item passives, so the Liandry, Riftmaker, Zonias, and not so much AP ratio. I mean, how much AP are you getting in the game? Maybe 300. So if you take 20% of that, how much damage is that really? No, it's Liandry burn that is killing everyone, and your alt winning fights, right? And the early game is unchanged because the AP ratio doesn't come in before then. So Lilia's still fine. She's one of several good AP junglers instead of being the top pick. Maokai. So Maokai had a bunch of issues. Um, But the biggest thing is the Q cooldown's going down, so and the mana cost going down, so he's better top lane um, and mid lane. But the cooldown on the E is going up and the alt cooldown's going up, so he's slightly better top. Um, yeah, that's about it. He still fine support. If you're outfield support and you don't want to play any of the fancy champions or learn how to play them, you just want a free win, play Maokai. Uh, Nidalee. MR growth, it's sort of whatever. The heal's getting buffed. This isn't huge, but like she's relatively weak. The thing is, if you have an ADC that's buffing off or a mid lane attack speed champion or maybe a carry top, then the attack speed, the heal will actually be significant once the game goes on. I'm not sure if there's any support kind of builds around. It's like at one point she was building Ardent Sensor. Um, but yeah, I mean, Nidalee is just a one-trick champion. You either play her or you don't, then you stay the fuck away from it because this is one of the hardest jungles in the game. Pyke's OP. That's the short version of these changes. His base stats are bonkers, like 47 armor. That's so insane. A lot of champions have less than 30 base armor. He has 47. Like, yeah, it's not like this champion's broken. Rengar, so he's losing 30 base HP. This mostly affects him top lane. And the Q loses some AD, but this only comes into play late, I'd say. Although if you get a couple of Bone Tooth necklace stacks early, then it does actually reduce your damage a tiny bit. Um, but yeah, he's still gonna be fine in the jungle. For top, he's fairly weak. Um, he lost a lot of power with itemization. The 40 HP is actually a lot because against a lot of champions he could get Brush Prio level 1 because he would win on all in level 1 with proper kiting, so waiting for the empowered 4th Q. But yeah, there might be some matchups now where he'll just outright lose. So I don't think this season is very good for him top lane, but jungle is still fine. Shaco, I mean Shaco changes don't really matter. This champion isn't very good and he's still not very good. Shyvana, so they're buffing AP Shyvana. So I mean, if you play, you sort of have to build Nashers now. But Shyvana's problem isn't like once she has items. Shyvana's problem is before she has items because this champion dies to Raptors level 1 almost. She can't clear healthy and not very fast either. So yeah, she's not the actual champion before 6. And once she has 6, if you fall behind and you cannot get your passive stacked, then you can't cast your ultimate, right? So yeah, this champ is pretty bad. Taliyah is getting buffed. Taliyah is already good. You can play her mid. You can play her jungle. She's very good. Teemo, bug change doesn't do anything. Trundle's getting slight nerf. Trundle isn't very good. Trundle wasn't very good. Still isn't very good. You just need to know how to play the map. And like a lot of top laners just want to fight him 1v1, but you actually like need to like bait out his ultimate, disengage, re-engage, etc. And yeah, if you don't go through the process of doing that, then you're gonna lose to him. But if you play properly, he's very I wouldn't say he's easy to beat, but he's easy to deal with because he's so linear. Um, yeah, he's not a very good champion at all, and he lost some power with the Hullbreaker changes because the Hullbreaker doesn't give him bonus stats, so he's entirely reliant on his ultimate for getting bonus resist. And if you don't build bonus resist, then the ultimate is gonna steal less. Um, so yeah, Twitch, quality of life doesn't matter. Wukong getting buff, but doesn't matter. This champion isn't a good jungler. Top lane he only comes in as a counter pick, but in a lot of spots where you could pick Wukong top, Malphite is just better because like his most of his strength comes is in his passive because he gets bonus AD, bonus armor. So he's very good against some AD champions, but yeah, Malphite is still the king in those situations, and he lost Divine Sunderer, so yeah, he's not very good, and the buff doesn't really help him. So the York change are sort of a nerf because these chains incentivize bruiser build, and the lethality build got weaker. That's mostly in part due to the healing he gets from his Q. Instead of based on doubled below 50% health, it's now based on missing health. So yeah, the E-cast time is slightly up, which is nice if you play him. But Yorick is counter pick only. He's good into some immobile champions like Teemo, that type of thing. GP maybe. Um, but even in those situations, he's very unique, so you really need to know how to play him. So I only recommend him as a counter pick, and he also gets worse the higher elo you get. Zeri's getting buffed. This buff is really huge, like 20, 20, uh, 20 seconds shaved off the rank 1 ult is pretty big. Pretty base AD is nice, but I mean, so they're saying they don't want people to go experiment hexblade always, but these changes like don't fix anything. Hexblade is just getting better, as are all the other items on her. So yeah, Zeri is okay, but I don't recommend her because she has a hard time winning lane early by herself. Like a certain number of games, you're just gonna roll over your opponents. And if you're playing Zeri, you know you're pressing Q and you're not doing damage. So you know. It's better to pick something that can actually auto attack the enemy in lane, and you will get a couple of free wins as a result. But if you really like her, you can play her, although I don't recommend it. Ziggs, base armor up by 3, armor growth up, okay. This is really whatever. Set your charge 4 seconds, it's okay, but I mean, for solo queue there are better champions. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Zyra. He's also one of the champions that relies on lost chapter items. And those aren't that great. Zyra, mana cost going down, minion monster thing. I mean, Zyra jungle isn't good, they're just better junglers. And yeah, are you gonna play her mid because of these changes? Absolutely not. It is a nerf to, it's actually a nerf to support slightly. She was okay, but she wasn't exceptional. She was good, but not exceptional. So I think there are, especially with like champions like Pyke and Senna, I think there are better champions to play bot lane. Um, or as a support. Essence Reaver 5 AD, okay, doesn't matter. Like, no one is gonna build Essence Reaver now because of these changes, right? This is just nice if you play champion that builds it, like Ezreal, for example. Rageblade, this is a bigger buff because it's 5 AD and AP, and the build path's also smoother. But again, you either have synergy with this item or you're building it or you're not, so it doesn't do anything. Kaenic Rooker, and this is a small nerf. But if you actually do the math, let's say you're 3000 HP when you build it, so you're only losing 2% of that, so you're losing like 50 health, you know? In the 3 seconds, okay, it hurts a bit, but a situation where this item is good, you're still going to be building this item. It's still better than Spirit Visage, which is situational or niche. And Force of Nature had the same issue. This is still your go-to MRI. There are a lot of ages. This doesn't change anything. You're not suddenly going to be building this item, but one thing to note is that if your champion benefits from mana, this is a pretty nice buff. So if you're playing Ryze, who gets bonus AP from building mana, then this is nice. And if you have a Seraph, it's a slight buff, slightly bigger buff, but not by much. So yeah. Uh, Strikebreaker. So this item's gotten more expensive, but you're getting 50 health on top, less AD, 5 AD, but now it has a Tiamat active and passive. So yeah, this item is pretty good. The problem is it doesn't have CDR, so a lot of champions that like the primary user of this is I think Garen. That's the stereotypical user. Nocturne maybe. But those champions will usually want this item second instead of first. So with Garen you usually want to get Triforce first and then this item. Or Nocturne you want to get the Hexblade first and then this item. Just because there's no CDR on it. But it is a good item, the active is really strong. And yeah, Tiamat's nice. Um, Collector 580. So they're nerfing range lethality users, especially in bot lane. But these changes aren't big enough to shift anything. The Youmuu's nerf for ranged is, is significant. And one thing to note, this isn't only nerf to bot lane ADC, it's also a nerf to Graves. Although Graves does have other itemization options, so there's that. Yeah, again, these are such minor changes. I'm not gonna go through all of them. The Alterator nerf's pretty big. because this item was insanely broken. Um, this component. Rocket Belt, Kraken, Lichbane. So what they're doing with some of these stuff, Lichbane and Rocket Belt are just getting outright nerfed. So this is nerf for Echo, Evelynn, those kind of champions. Some versions of Diana. So what they're doing with the Kraken and the Ludens is they're making it stronger as a one item spike, but weaker later. Which you all know just feels better if you're trying to compete with like Storm Surge users or Lethality ADCs, etc. Profane Hydra again, it's the active gets nerfed slightly. This is mostly significant for Rengar actually, because of his huge total AD amounts, especially later into the game. But realistically, you're still gonna be one-shotting people with it. The static shift nerf is really big. That's probably the biggest one here. So it's 300 gold cheaper now, which is 2 waves uh, usually. So yeah, if but the thing with static shift is not a lot of champions can utilize it well, so there's that. Sundered Sky is getting 150 health, but losing 10 AD. But this is a buff because 10 AD is a longsword, right? So, but 150 health is a ruby crystal, so it's like 50 gold more efficient. But you're mostly using this for the passive, and I feel like a lot of Sundered Sky users benefit more from the HP than the AD. But that could be different for each champion. But this is still a very good item. Titanic is getting quite significant nerf to his active, especially later. But the health is going up. So very similar changes. Okay, Rift Herald, this doesn't matter behavioral, blah blah blah. So to recap, very large patch, but not that many meaningful changes. Azir still broken. Brand went from broken to normal or good. Ezreal still good. Karma still good. Lilia went from broken to good. Rengar is alright in jungle. It's pretty bad top in my opinion, especially as a blind. Trundle was bad, is still bad. Uh, Aesol is slightly better now after hot fix. Okay, nothing special, but good. Nidalee is like one trick champion. Pyke is OP. Um, Shaco buff doesn't do anything. Shyvana buff doesn't do anything. Talia was good and is now slightly better. Timo doesn't do anything. Wukong is garbage. York is nerfed. Zeri is slightly better, but again, she has some gameplay issues. She's incredibly passive early. And yeah, Ziggs, these changes don't do anything for Ziggs right now. Corki nerf is big. Illaoi buff is big, especially in high elo. Maokai nerf is kind of whatever. And Zyra support went from being good to mediocre average. And for the items, um, all these changes are very small. Yep. So yeah, that was it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.